What's an industry secret in the field you work in? I design slot machines for casinos. Don't play slots. I'm an attorney. The secret is shut the up. Think like a fish, it's much harder to get caught if you don't open your mouth. Managed boarding and grooming kennels for 8 years. The secret is that the employees actually do love your pets too. Even the difficult ones, most of us realize they just miss their people. The number of times I've wept when a pet died, or spent way too many hours comforting a dog with separation anxiety, or spent hours off the clock with a boarder who needed to be rushed to a vet office, wouldn't trade it for the world. Some pets just, though, not gonna lie. I'm a server. No matter how much we insist it's okay that you are keeping the entire restaurant open after we've closed, please know we are 100% lying. We will get fired if we deviate from anything other than pure delight that you are keeping us from going home. We dread it. Please don't believe us. I used to work in jewelry. Most of the prettiest gemstones are also very affordable. Tanzanite is a beautiful purple and looks nicer than amethyst. Topaz comes in lots of colors, including a pretty blue color which can be as nice as aquamarine. Opals aren't as brightly rainbow-hued as they look in pictures. Almost every hairstylist gets the heebie-jeebies when we shampoo your hair and you just stare up at us. Close. Your damn eyes at the shampoo bowl. Used to screen resumes for small companies. Job requirements are more of a wish list situation. Never let some unchecked boxes deter you from a-peopling. You have no idea what the applicant pool is like. The biggest boon, especially at small companies, is someone who legitimately cares. There is way more butter than you think in almost every dish you eat at fancy restaurants, and that is usually the reason you won't see the amount of calories in each dish. Source: 5 years as a chef in Italian cuisine, head chef, 8 years in an Italian kitchen. I'm a chef in a French restaurant and the only thing dairy-free is one salad and the drinks. Former Bath & Body Works associate here. The scents they discontinue will come back with a different name and new marketing. They're just recycling the scents. Some therapists/counselors are on the wrong side of the couch, so to speak. If you feel your mental health provider is unhinged, they may very well be. A family member tried to break up with his long-term GF who was a therapist. I was shocked at her absolutely unhinged behavior, which included but was not limited to her taking his childhood teddy bear, chopping it up with garden shears, and piling it up on his bed with the note, "This is what you're doing to my heart," stabbed into it with a steak knife. Change your dirty furnace filters and clean your AC coils outside. These make up an easy 30% of my calls for no heat/cooling. At Goodwill, 50% of what you donate ends up in the trash. BC, we don't have the space for it or we just deem it too ugly. Our local thrift store has a semi-trailer sized dumpster behind it. They fill it every couple of weeks because most of the people donate was garbage to start with. They just didn't have anywhere else to dump it, so they donated it. All I'm saying is there is a reason no one who works in the RV industry owns an RV. As a software engineer, double your delivery date for a product in anticipation of an over-eager project manager trying to get promoted. Former aircraft fueler. Don't check your pets in kennels. Especially in summer or winter. They are submitted to some very harsh environments, left on belt loaders in the sweltering heat right next to a running APU that's loud enough to deafen human ears, let alone a dog's. It's terrible. I always feel so sorry for them. American Airlines will destroy your luggage. They get overloaded on carts, fall off on the way to the plane, and are left there to get run over by tankers and yes, fuelers, and rained on, then dragged to the edge of the ramp to sit all night while you arrive at your destination and wonder where the hell your bags are. If your departure is delayed, 90% of the time it's us, the fueler. Look out the window to the right side if it's a small plane, left side if it's a really big plane. If Teresa truck sitting under the wing, we're the reason you're late. Sorry. The industry-leading software is at least 10 years old at its core. If you're someone who purchases bulk nuts, grains, etc., just know that those bins are probably rarely cleaned, and even when they are cleaned, odds are they were just rinsed out/wiped down to look clean. I used to be a bulk buyer at Whole Foods Market, and when I took over, our bulk department had no cleaning logs or sanitizing procedure. The bins had moths/insect colonies and mold in them. Our store was open nearly 5 years prior. The best therapists go to therapy. The cheapest bottle of wine in the restaurant has the biggest markup. You'd be surprised how willingly someone will do their job and even go above and beyond if you just compliment them for their professionalism, politeness, and how they are helping them. Worked at a department store photography studio owned by a major photography company that you can imagine probably took your school yearbook photos. The company also is partnered with a popular online photo order website. Notice how quickly we write down a price, strike it out, and write a new price as the deal? Yeah, that's pretty much just the price that everyone gets. We aren't doing the math that fast, we have it memorized because almost everyone that comes in has that 40% off coupon. Don't come in without a coupon, there is always a coupon on the website. If you end up paying for sitting fees, it's because you just didn't go on our website. Honestly, don't buy our photos. If you just do the session and say that you'll buy them online later, on said partnered photo order site, they'll be cheaper than if you buy them in store that day. Yes, even when we say oh but you won't get this deal online. If you do buy in studio that day, just buy the digital CD of your photos. You get to keep all of them instead of having to pick your favorite 3 to 4 pictures. Oh, and again, it is way cheaper to take that CD to a photo kiosk and have them printed yourself. Please don't spend $400 on a couple photos that you can't legally copy when you could have gotten an $80 CD of all the photos and have the copyright to them. Not an industry I work in per se, but I used to be in a sales role. One of my customers was a milk bottling plant. I was somewhat surprised that they were putting the exact same milk in both organic and non-organic cartons. Turns out all of their milk is organic, but in order to not miss out on the sales of non-organic milk, they just bottle them differently and sell them at different prices. Construction boy here. If your windows or sliding doors are tough to open and close, 9 times out of 10, we put your own dish soap on tracks and the thing works perfectly. It take 5 minutes and we charge $150. Dish soap people, it's better than WD-40 sometimes. Amusement park ride operator here. If your kid is crying and you want us to stop the ride, even if we want to, it's not gonna stop immediately. The carousel will spin a few more circles or the ship will swing a few more times before stopping. The only exceptions is the emergency stop, which will absolutely up the ride for a while if we press it. Hence we only use it in actual life-threatening situations. The best thing you can do is try to get your kid to calm down as the ride comes to a stop, and no, yelling stop the ride at us does not make it stop any faster. Nobody uses bots to inflate metrics more than the most major players in the entertainment industry. All the numbers are fake, including sales. Everything at the Container Store exists and is cheaper at Lowe's. They lie to their customers about saving their credit card information because we aren't supposed to. We also save their social, addresses, and 5 of their most recent phone numbers and bank account numbers. The life of a student loan servicer. If in doubt, lubricate. I'm a machinist. I'm a teacher. If you as a parent will read with your child often and early, your child will thrive in school. I'm talking daily books read together from newborn to about 3rd grade. Every single day. No teacher can replace that. RV technician here is designed to start braking after around 44 uses. Most RV owners use their trailers on weekends. But not every weekend. So that 44 uses on average stretches between 2 and 3 years. Knowing how to research the answer to a question is at least as or even more useful than knowing the answer to begin with. I made a living in IT for a decade with that mindset. Every client thinks architects are unnecessary and they can draw the plans themselves, but they are just too busy. At Goodwill, we don't clean anything that we sell, and we get some really gross stuff that touches everything else, so next time you buy something from Goodwill, wash it well. Weight loss industry. This might be obvious, but most of our business comes from return clients after they've gained their weight back, and then some. To be clear, the plan isn't rigged to make you gain it back, but the fact that it happens easily as a result of dieting keeps us in business. Audio engineer here. A few seemingly obvious things to point out. 9/10 times with a studio you get what you pay for. You have to pay for years of experience, acclaimed expertise, plus hundreds of thousands of dollars in equipment and software tools, not to mention the hundreds of thousands of dollars that went into the acoustic engineering of the physical recording space alone. People walk into great studios balk at $1,000 plus a song but don't realize they're getting access to close to $1 million in tools, plus an engineer who's going to make them sound better than life. On the flip side of that coin, beware of eye candy. Don't be fooled by big mixing consoles. Sometimes they're not even used for your music. Hell, sometimes they don't even function. I've seen studios where the sole purpose of a large board is to dupe unsuspecting musicians into parting with their money. In larger studios, bands with smaller budgets are often stuck with an intern who may not even be getting paid. If your music is, no amount of production is going to make it a hit. As a small studio owner, I only share work that I think will bring me more business. Wondering why I haven't shared your music? It's because it's garbage. Billie Eilish recorded on budget equipment at home with her brother. Those recordings were then worked on by some of the best engineers in the world to make it sound like it wasn't. Be wary of a record label. They may offer to front the costs of your recording and touring, but you have no creative control over your sound, where you record, your tour schedule, and usually the label will own your music. Oh, and you have to pay all of that money back to the label. Be cautious of studios that claim so and so recorded here. There's a studio in Iowa that claims Slipknot recorded here. And while it's true, Slipknot did record in that building. It was a different owner, different engineers, and some different equipment. You're not going to sound like Slipknot by recording there, sorry. A lot of successful artists at a certain level of success do nothing more than create a concept and employ several assistants, who are either current or graduating art students, who actually make the art itself, its reproductions or both. As a former TSA worker, airport security is a lot of theater. TSA is constantly failing plainclothes inspections. I worked with a guy who got fired because someone showed him an ID with a picture of Mickey Mouse on it and he let the person through because he wasn't paying attention. This should be pretty obvious. But for big brand hotels, if you try to sneak above the hotel and call the corporate customer care line to demand compensation/complain, that customer care line will always call the hotel for the full story and not just blindly give compensation. In Microsoft Office, Word specifically, you can upload recorded interviews and it will transcribe it and ever have speaker 1 and speaker 2, 3 and 4. Basically, eliminating a huge annoying part of the job. Federal HR here, if you put the words from the vacancy announcement about what you need to qualify in your resume, you'll almost always be qualified. We search for those words instead of reading an entire resume. I'm a musician. It's not really a secret, but 90% of our revenue is from merch. Spotify plays, show guarantees, etc. Everything is menial in comparison to shirt sales. In fact, a big reason bands tour as often as possible is because we can sell more shirts when we're in front of people. The kind donations people give hoping they go directly to the clients in shelters actually end up at the Salvation Army or Goodwill to be resold, even though we're instructed to tell them that won't be the case, and this is done before the clients are even given the chance to decide if they want some of the donated stuff. As a beginner counselor, I worked with a lot of children and adolescents. Consistently, the discussion with my colleagues was how it was the parents who were the biggest problem and the kids were just adapting to a crazy environment. Library worker here, the majority of donations we receive do not end up in circulation, on our shelves. No matter how much you demand, we put them there once they're donated. The reason why this is because we only add items to the collection that we think will circulate, be checked out. Most libraries get funding based off of statistics. We don't want to waste shelf space on items that PIP aren't checking out, as it won't improve our stats. So, unless the donated items are brand new, or by popular authors, we will not add them to the collection. We will also, unpopular items from our collection with extreme prejudice for this reason, much to our patrons' horror. These books usually end up being sold at book sales to help generate funding for other library programs. I'm a fossil replicator, and apparently the industry secret is the fact that we exist. So many people are blown away to learn that most fossils they see in museums are replicas. California, cannabis concentrates. Don't trust that the test results are accurate at all. We were demanded, by the business owner, to use some dirty methods to cheat on potency testing and pesticide testing. Turns out, those tests can be pretty easy to trick if you know what you're doing. This is ultimately what led to me leaving the industry. Eventually, all of our chemists stopped smoking concentrates altogether for these reasons. Most of the internet is held together by furious and frantic deadline-driven typing, and it's shocking that any of it works at all. I worked for a search engine optimization (SEO) company for about 5 years. It's 20% things you can easily do yourself and 80% making money out of you until you realize you can do it yourself. Then, Google changes a 7 to an 8 and it no longer works. Plumber here. There's no such thing as a flushable wipe. The package lies. Your drains will clog, and fast. Your landlord will charge you. It's going to throw wipes in the trash if you use them. Toilet's paper is the only acceptable wipe. Not a secret at all, just not common knowledge somehow. Firefighters are trained on several areas and can specialize deeper into certain disciplines. Most of the emergencies we get called to are situations we have never been trained on, but with 4 of us on a fire truck we can normally figure out a solution. I'm a dentist. Here's the lowdown on toothpaste. As long as it has fluoride, they are all basically the same. When I was in dental school, the Colgate lady came by and said that everything that says Colgate Total on it is all exactly the same, the only difference is the packaging. So whether it says whitening, or gum protection, or whatever else, it is all exactly the same. The exception is sensitivity. Toothpaste typically does have an extra active ingredient, KNO3, which helps with sensitivity. Don't ever feel obligated to buy the expensive toothpaste because you think it will be better for your teeth. Just buy whatever you like best. Pilots, up all the time. You only notice though if you know what to look for. A lot of librarians will waive your fines if you have an excuse and you don't ask too frequently, even large fines. Also, librarians don't care about your fines and aren't judging you. Please come back. We personally have more fines than you. Librarians are always overdue with their books. A huge portion of online reviews, ratings, social media presence, etc. that you see for any given company are fake, paid for, or done by multiple accounts controlled by us. This includes a company's Glassdoor page, fake reviews about how great it is to work there so that the million negative reviews don't crush their page. I'm not saying it's every company out there, but it's been a lot of the ones I've worked for. Source: am copywriter. What are ethics? I surely don't know anymore. If all other vitals are fine, and they're not in any sort of visible respiratory distress, most don't physically count respirations each time vitals are taken. Banks don't have millions of dollars in cash in them. Their insurance's rates would be way too expensive. They keep enough on hand to do weekly traffic plus some extra. The guy who shows up at your house to make repairs is usually the guy who decides how much to charge you. Standing behind him while he works cost extra. Treating him like, cost extra. Being nice to him can save you a lot of money. I work in logistics for a massive manufacturing company. Money's not real. $1,000 for 8 light bulbs. Structural engineer here. Everything has a chance of failure. It's too expensive to build everything to be 100% safe. Not so much a secret but a lesser known fact. Kirkland products, the white label brand from Costco, are independently tested to beat or exceed the industry leading product in that category. Razor blades. Cookies. Cheese. Laundry pods. If it doesn't beat the industry leader, they won't put the Kirkland name on it. The cocktail you just bought might cover the cost of the entire bottle we used to make it. Former industry, commercial radio. It's never caller 5. It's the caller who sounds best on air. Not really a secret, but some wholesale nurseries will sell plants for a fraction less than public nurseries and big box retailers. Like 1 gallon of a shrub will sell for $16 at Home Depot, but at a wholesale nursery that same plant will cost like $2 to $6. Employment industry. If the email address of the hiring manager or recruiter is included in a job posting, send an email instead of or in addition to applying to the job through the portal. So many resumes get filtered because of portal-based applicant tracking systems, automated sorting methods, so if you have the right experience but are missing a keyword or two, many of which are dictated by folks from HR who have zero expertise in your field, your resume might not ever make it in front of a human. Please just email me. New construction. That $3K/$4K luxury apartment you're renting is slapped together in a rush just like everything else is. Also, if you're on the 3rd floor or above, you have water bottles filled with urine stuffed inside your walls because the elevators are typically finished last. Any individual part of flying an airplane isn't difficult, it's 100 small things piling up makes things difficult. As opposed to, say, playing the trumpet. Hitting that high note repeatedly is difficult and physically demanding. Landing is easy once you've practiced it a bit, but when it gets difficult you just nope out of there and land somewhere else. Dress codes and other rules bouncers tell you at the door are usually made up on the fly. Teacher, the parents are more of a hassle than the students. I doubt that is a secret, but there it is. Off one nurse, you, off all the nurses. If you order a pizza but like to choose your own toppings, it's often cheaper to choose an existing pizza like a meat supreme or something with loads of toppings, then swap out all the toppings for ones you want, than to go for the create your own option in the menu. Note, this is much less awkward if you order online than on the phone. This seems to be a secret to many customers. It actually pays off to be patient and polite if you need the staff at a store to resolve an issue or help you with something. Management hates IT. They don't generate revenue. When it comes to retail. If you're night crew, day crew just, around all day, and doesn't get anything done, leaving all of the work for you. If you're day crew, night crew just, around all night, and doesn't get anything done, leaving all of the work for you. The amount of Googling in software development. For a Python-based project I needed to understand Python, Anaconda, Jupyter, NumPy, Pandas, stats models, Facebook Profit, Flask, templates, Wootforms etc. and I knew none of it beforehand, except Python a little. And it's not even a very complex project. I've done magnitudes more complex ones. The lighter the roast of coffee, the more caffeine it has, not the other way around. So often I'll hear people say I'll take a light roast, I don't want to be up all night after all, ha. Remember, the caffeine is in the bean at the start. The more you roast it the more caffeine burns off since it's in the natural oils of the bean. I'm not training your dog, I'm training you. No one really knows 100% of what they're doing. Former camp counselor here. The more you want your kid to go to camp, the less we want your kid at camp. Whenever you tell someone to check in the back of a grocery store they go back there and stand for a few moments and come back out. 99% of the time if it's not on the shelf we are out, but we know you won't believe us so we go look for it so you feel a bit better even though we already knew there was none back there. Musical theater. The set looks gorgeous only from the angles and distances the audience can see it. Up close and or to the side at all, and it looks like a toddler built it. Also, unless it's Broadway, there's a pretty good chance that there's at least one musician in the pit who is sight reading the music at any given performance. When I worked in inpatient psych, when a patient does complete, even months after care and the staff hears about it, we sit together and cry. We don't actually enjoy carrying people down 11 flights of way to narrow stairs because they have a stubbed toe. Used to work in menswear and I got one that's pretty morbid. Most of our tailor shops are filled with suits that were made years and years ago. This is because most of them were made for people who died before they could be picked up. The others are often for weddings that got cancelled after the suit was made. Hey, thanks for subscribing and liking. It really means a lot to me. While you are here, feel free to hop on over to the last video. See you there. Ronnie.